I can compare the brand spanking new Garmin Edge 840 and the somewhat less spanky but still very cutting Edge 1040 in about 9 words. The two key differences are screen size and cost. If you want more display acreage and you have pockets that are shallower and arms that are longer than mine, buy the 1040. Otherwise, it's the 840. So this is a short video. You're welcome and see you next week. Try the veal. But the YouTube gods won't shine their glory lens on this derisory effort. So here's a few more words in your ear holes. The Edge 1040 and 840 are both top-end bike computers. In fact, they're the tippiest of the toppiest. The 1040, launched in June 2022, is Garmin's flagship bike computer. It was the first to feature Garmin's significantly improved user interface and includes all the sophisticated training, safety and navigation features known to Veloman. It was also the first cycling GPS to feature solar charging, if you're prepared to pay a soupçon more for that option. The Edge 840, launched in April 2023, is basically all of that, just smaller. It shares the same software features as the 1040, along with the updated and improved UI. Solar glass is an option, and like the 1040, it's blessed with a wholly USB-C charging aperture. But wait, before you think the 840 brought nothing to the relationship, we should talk about ClimbPro. ClimbPro on the Edge 1040 and 840. ClimbPro is the dedicated screen that pops up on Edge devices when you're climbing. In previous versions of the feature, after you had uploaded a route to your device, the Edge would identify any climbs and present interesting stats about each one: gradient, length, meters ascended, time in the death zone. The Edge 1040 and 840 still have all the existing ClimbPro fandango, but now you don't need to be following a route to see it. As you free ride around, both computers will identify climbs in real time and show the ClimbPro screen whenever you're on one. This enhanced ClimbPro feature, which excites my innards in a manner that should disturb you, came pre-baked into the Edge 840 at launch, with a beta firmware release up-jizzling the 1040 at more or less the same time. So sure, ultimately there's no difference between the two devices on the ClimbPro front, but the KOM goes to the 840 for getting it first, or something. But you came here for a comparison, and a comparison involves differences. So here are those differences. The 1040 is bigger and heavier than the 840. There are minuscule differences in width. The 1040 is like 1.5 millimeters wider, and depth, I don't know, a micron. Lengthwise, we're talking just over 3 centimeters. In Imperial, just over a chode. For me, there's no downside in the 1040 being bigger. It's sleek and svelte, those things are different, compared to other touchscreen electronic devices. Let's call them smartphones. It's downright mini. And I will not accept, not even from you, Cartwright, that the 1040's extra 40 grams of weight makes any difference to anyone's riding performance ever. Get down to 5% body fat and then we can talk. The 1040 has space for a bigger display. The 1040 has a 3.5-inch display, corner to corner, whilst the 840 measures 2.6 inches. Neither display is particularly high def. The Hammerhead Karoo 2, Steve crams more pixels into its high-res 3.2-inch screen. Anyway, the 1040 and 840 are equivalent in terms of resolution. The 1040 just has more screen real estate. By my calculations, 67% more. Whether you need that extra screen space is up to you. Those looking for a larger font size should choose the 1040. With the same number of fields on the data grid screen, the figures on the 1040 are noticeably larger and more visible. Or, if we tickle the equation, you can choose to display more fields without the same reduction in font size. To be clear though, both the 1040 and 840 display a maximum of 10 fields on a data screen. The 1040 won't show you a 12-bagger or more. Keen navigators attracted by Multo Map can also make the case for choosing the 1040. Everyone else will be driven by desire. But aren't we all? Buttons. Buttons here on a touchscreen with mine. The 1040 sticks with the historic Garmin touchscreen approach of sporting only 3 buttons, the 2 on the front edge plus the on-off button on the side. The 840 has gone a bit novel by adding the extra 4 buttons normally seen on Garmin's non-touchscreen devices. So if there are times or conditions when you can't, won't, simply will not use the touchscreen, then the buttons can be used to do the equivalent task. Scroll through menus, select an option, call in a tactical airstrike. The 840 will therefore suit the naysay brigade that cannot bring themselves to believe that a touchscreen could possibly work in the rain, or those touching cloth. Gloves wearers. The mount cleat type thingy, as we highly unqualified bike mechanics call it, is different. On the 1040, it's machined metal, presumably aluminum, and I have to say it rather nice. The 840 has the standard plastic version, albeit high quality plastic, and yes, my history degree involved a materials science component. Both cleaty cleats include the electrical contacts that allow Holy Communion with the Garmin Charge Power Pack. Battery life don't matter. It seems the 1040's extra heft accommodates a larger battery, so unlike me in many domains, it goes for longer.
Garmin stats.
Based on the company's demanding scenario, loads of sensors, super duper satellite tracking, notification overload, and messing around with it a lot, they claim a 1040 battery life of up to 35 hours, sans solar, and up to 45 hours avec du soleil. The 840 claims up to 32 hours with solar, and up to 26 hours not with. So there's a difference, but let's have some contextual intercourse. The equivalent claim for the 830 was up to 20 hours, and the 1030 Plus was up to 24 hours. Neither of these devices ever felt to me like over-demanding plug cravers. I think we're in the territory where the battery life differences between the two devices don't matter a great deal to the vast number of riders. And yes, I agree that you are a special snowflake and not in that vast number. But let's get naked together. There will always be some riders that need a very long battery life. Even for those guys, both the 840 and the 1040 give over 24 hours, more with the solar option, and they can always supplement with a charge power pack. For those of us in the remaining 99%, we're surely at levels here where you can't notice the difference. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, never mind whether I was annoyed the last time I had to charge my bike GPS. So for me, the excellent battery life box is ticked for both, and it's not really a factor that drives my choice of which to buy. Should you buy the solar version then? No. Best case, the solar option adds 10 hours. That's on the 1040. For the 840, Garmin specs claim an additional 6 hours. But I don't live in the sunny uplands of best case. I certainly don't ride in them. The 1040 non-solar option gives 35 hours of battery juice, supposedly, and even allowing for a bit of promo exuberance and battery degradation over time, that's 1,000,000 more hours than I need before having to plug it into charge. So for me, solar recharging doesn't pelvic nudge the needle with sufficient thrust to justify the extra cost. Just my John Thomas worth, your solar gain will of course vary. And just so we're clear, I bought both the Edge 1040 and 840 in solar versions because I am a grade A pork whistle. Alternatives to the Edge 1040 and 840. Well, you could buy one of the older generation Edges, the 1030 Plus or the 830. Both are available at prices lower than these and do 95% of the things that you'll realistically use on the 1040 and 840. 4% equates to the older route-based version of ClimbPro, 1% to miscellaneous. I've got both the 1030 Plus and the 830 and I like both. I wouldn't have bought the newer devices if it wasn't to feed the ever-hungry maw of this bike tech half a channel. Aside from that, if it's touchscreen you're after, I'd be considering the Hammerhead Karoo 2. The battery life is a mere fraction of the Edge's, albeit fine for my distances, and it doesn't have the on-device training science wizardry. But the matte colour touchscreen is beautiful and the user interface just about shades the 1040-840, even despite recent improvements to the latter. If we move to non-touchscreen alternatives, we're straying further from the market segment that Garmin is targeting with the 1040 and 840. Nonetheless, if you want to go there, my pick of the button poppers is the Wahoo Element Bolt V2. Videos of all of these computers are on my channel, so give them a look, and whilst there, you may as well subscribe. So which should you buy? Well, Ray over at DC Rainmaker says that the new 840 occupies the sweet spot in the tenderloin of the Garmin Edge range. Who am I to disagree with the Sage of Amsterdam? In this case though, I'll play the devil's advocate. You should buy the 1040, revel in the larger screen size, bask in the warm glow of more map, know that you have the toppiest of the tippy top bike computer in the world. And once you've tried that idea on for size, accept that perhaps you don't want to spend $1 billion and plump for the smaller but still immensely powerful Edge 840. I've been Monty, you've been watching a video. These are bike computers. Bye. Pelvic nudge.